Hello, how's it going? What's up, YouTube? Anyway, I wanted to talk about human rights. Um, Human rights is basically just the right to life, the right to be free from cruel and unusual punishment, the right to practice your religion, to be free to think what you want to think, say what you want to say, and be who you are. Um, all these rights should be protected by law, and no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his life. NATO uh, looks into human rights, and NATO tries to say, hey, uh, we won't deprive people or let people be tortured arbitrarily, such as in Rwanda or other supposedly third world nations, where there are many human rights violations that occur by a government or officials who arbitrarily decide, oh, hey, we're just going to kill the people today, which is bad. Torture, which the United States has signed a treaty with NATO saying that it would not torture people. It's been used as a method of re-education, of punishment. Um, if you don't behave or you don't do what we want you to do, we'll torture you. It's prohibited under the international law, and it's considered a violation of human rights, and it's declared unacceptable. The many countries, like 150 of them, have agreed not to torture captured enemy combatants. I don't think the United States was probably on that list, considering, waterboarding. Waterboarding, I would say, would be torture, wouldn't it? I don't know. Didn't, Bush get up there and say, hey, we'll waterboard people? I think that probably qualifies as torture in the United States. Basically, the legal definition of torture also says it's immoral. You know, there's been worldwide consensus that torture is immoral. Grand corruption, systemic corruption. Here, let's talk about police officers. Police officers may deliberately and systematically participate in organized crime themselves. There are internal affairs to investigate suspected police corruption or misconduct. I don't know. As far as reporting the police, there's hardly anyone to report the police to, considering the police are corrupt and or the government's corrupt. So there's no one to tell, except for the people out there in the world that are good people. I'm sure there are good people out there. You're a good person, right? You don't believe in torturing people, right? Okay, well, democide. We've had a bunch of wars in the United States and throughout the world. And democide is essentially a coin term that says, hey, a government decides whether you live or die. Or mass populations of people live or die based on, their decisions, like not sending food resources or denying people water, or sending people back to Mexico where they have no food or money and die of starvation or hunger. Um, um, that's an example of democide, but democide is the murder of any person or people by their government, including genocide, politicide, or mass murder. Well, at least 174 billion people were killed by the government's actions. And it's more than any wars or anything else combined. So essentially, a government, a group of people gets together and decides who to kill. And people put up with it. But NATO tries to fight back against, things like that, such as Rwanda or other countries where, they basically try to stop stuff like that from happening. That doesn't work too well. What's happened to my family falls under all of these categories. Under democide, under torture, under human rights violations. What I have here is a government who arbitrarily decided that it wanted to kill my family, and it killed my family. And it decided to maim me and torture me through use of being an anonymous person. Oh, there's a new bad actor today. They're role-playing. And essentially, every time I leave my house, I walk into Shakespeare or somewhere role-playing. And it's this evil face that needs to stop. It needs to stop torturing. It needs to stop killing. It needs to stop hurting good people. The man who lived next door to me in the viral video was a corrupt cop who was there just to torture me. I've been shanked 20 times. My back was broken. I was electrocuted. And they killed things in my yard. They killed a pet or a rabbit, And they have no respect for life or the sanctity of life or the beauty of us, of my family, or the joy I had in my life. They just were out to be hateful destroyers, To have a corrupt cop living next door to you, trying to torture you, doesn't sound like protecting and serving, or a government that is good in this world. Because I know I've been a good person in my life, and I've done the best that I could. And I don't know what to say to people out there who, want to hate on me because of who I am or what I am. I would ask you as a YouTube audience, what do you think? I mean, what would you do? What would you do if your government hurt you? And they used as a collective hurt you, not just as an individual or one person. If there was systemic corruption and your government hurt you, where would you run to? Who would you try to tell? Who would listen to you? Who would be your voice? Because if we aren't each other's voices and we don't care about each other, then what about the next person, the next Kimberly, the next Betty, the next person that the government decides to torture? Because if people don't believe that I've been tortured, or that this happened to me, or this is some crazy story, it can't possibly be true, right? Then the government just gets to get away with it. They get to torture other people. They get to hurt more people. And if you don't believe me, then look at all the cops shooting people. Look at the government that kills people, for having headphones in and reaching into their pockets, or thinks it's okay to just pull out a gun and shoot someone. You know, it's not okay. It's not okay to live next door to someone and harass them. It's not okay to shank people, you know. It's not okay to hurt people. And I'm not here to tell people what to do or what not to do. I'm just here to tell my story. Because if I don't tell my story, then this happens to more people. Then the government uses hypnosis and behavior aversion and gets to live next door to me and shank me and get away with it. Because there's no one out there to report this to. Because obviously the police are corrupt. My family's dead. And they've maimed me. And all I can ask for is that someone out there have a little faith in humanity, in believing in a story, I guess. Believing that it's not okay to hurt each other. Believing that we can do better than this as a people. That justice and truth and kindness can prevail over authoritarian actions, or that people could save me if you wanted to. That people out there could help me not be hurt by these people anymore. And I have to have hope that there's good people out there that will understand that human rights violations and torture actually does happen. Oh, and I guess I'm just asking for the help of this world, because I deserve a chance at a good life, because I'm a good person, and I deserve the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, that's my YouTube for tonight, and thanks for watching and listening. Anyway, I would hope that this will start a conversation about human rights and how we can help each other as people. Have a good night.